We'd like you to talk about climate change and global warming and explain to us from your perspective what's going on and basically find out how we can best engage in helping the situation.
All right. First and foremost, recognize, yes, many of you have the understanding that to some degree your technology and the creation of such things as pollution and so on and so forth are accelerating certain kinds of conditions on the planet. This is so. Nevertheless, what you are accelerating is a natural cycle that has occurred on your planet many times. There have been many warming periods, many cooling periods. Now, because you have arrived at a certain point in your technology where you are capable of affecting your environment more than ever before, you have accelerated the natural warming cycle that is going on now. This is actually right now the end of your ice age. It's been going on for a little while, but this is actually now the ending of it. And when it continues to end over the course of the next couple of decades of your time, you will find that some of the oceans will rise as they did before. The approximate average over the entire span of the initial phase of the warming, which will be several decades long, the entire rise of the ocean will be approximately about 10 to 15 of your feet. The idea, therefore, is that in some places this will happen slowly, although there will be some places where when ice dams break, there will be immediate inundation, and it should be paid attention to prevent the idea of loss of life. Nevertheless, once the idea of the warming trend continues, you will then find that, like the cycle has before, it will ultimately cycle back into a cooling trend as well, as the planet has done, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for many, many, many millions of your years. The idea, therefore, however, is to understand that even though it may be a natural cycle, the recognition that you have the capability of accelerating it puts you in touch with your power and your effect on the environment and the choices that you make. It isn't even so much the idea of destroying the world as it is simply the idea of recognizing your responsibility to choose what kind of an experience in reality you actually prefer to have and make the choices that are in alignment with that. Remember that your planet has gone through many things that are far more destructive than you are actually even capable of manifesting. Gigantic asteroid strikes, solar flares, all sorts of things have happened to your planet that have extinguished life again and again and again. The idea, however, is now you have arrived at a place where you are recalling events, bringing together memories of other lives, other experiences. This is a culmination kind of age on your planet where you are capable of drawing from the experiences of many thousands of years of lives, bringing them all to bear and deciding for yourselves how you wish to be, what kind of reality you wish to have, and acting accordingly. So the idea of doing this at this time of this natural cycle is forcing you into a situation where you have to face the choices that you make and really come together to decide what kind of reality, what kind of world, what kind of civilization you really wish to have and how you wish to relate to nature, how you wish to relate to creation, so there can be ease of creation instead of the idea of creating catastrophic shifts, catastrophic circumstances that are for the purpose of shaking you and jarring you to your senses. You don't have to do it that way. So as you learn to ease up, lighten up in your relationship with the idea of all things in nature, you thus then have the ability to shift yourselves to parallel reality after parallel reality that are already representative of the kind of world that you prefer. Because that's actually how the world changes. The world you're on never changes. It always exists exactly as it is now. It's just that when you change yourself, you change your frequency, you shift yourself to the frequency of a parallel reality Earth that is already on that vibratory level, that is already representative of the kind of shift you have made within yourself. So in essence, you change nothing but yourself. And that's how you apparently change the world. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's a privilege to speak with you in this manner.
It is an honor for us to communicate with each and every one of you as well.
My second question actually dovetails with your last answer.
All right.
And
thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes. What I wanted to ask you is that when you go back in time and you alter or interact with a past,
yes,
like such as ours,
yes,
you are creating an alternate reality for yourself to some degree and can choose to go back to that alternate reality or to the one that you started from. Is that true?
Well, yes and no. Would you like me to explain?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I will. First of all, of course, recognize that when you say back in time, that's just a linear euphemism. I'm not really going back in time because time is an illusion and all realities exist at the same time. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So since you know that all realities and everything in existence all exist now, and that the so-called past and the so-called future are just illusions, they're just convenient space-time linear names for other simultaneously coexistent parallel realities going on right now with this one. In that sense, I haven't really altered anything. We are interacting with whatever parallel reality we are interacting with, and as we interact with it, that becomes the history of that parallel reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Therefore, we can choose to go in different directions. We can choose to create different experiences. And as we do so, we are, of course, shifting, as we have just described, into different parallel realities in order to have those different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already exists at once. It's just that we're shifting into parallel realities where such an interaction is already part of the definition of that parallel reality. And in that context, we are changing nothing except ourselves. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Oh, all right. In what way do you wish to explore this in more detail for clarity?
From the physical aspect.
I am speaking from the physical aspect.
Okay. Well, it exists all at once.
Yes. As we said, it is similar to the analogy of your television set on Earth.
Right.
Where you know you have many different programs that you can experience all at the same time. They're all there at once, but you only get the one that you're tuned to. But when you change the channel, you get a different reality. You get a different story. So yes, all physical realities, all dimensions of experience, all parallel planes, all ideas of past, present, and future all exist right now, simultaneously. They are just separated by different frequencies in the same way that the different television programs are separated by different frequencies.
Okay. I understand that you're partially physical.
Yes.
But you're also very non-physical.
In our evolution at this time, we are quasi-physical.
Yes.
Shifting, in a sense, back and forth, vibrating in a quasi-physical, non-physical energy state. Yes.
Okay. From my perspective, I'm very serial. I'm just going from one moment to the next moment. And
yes.
It's all like
That's your perspective. Yes.
Like the film on the projector running.
Yes.
So I was wondering, since you are able to experience this sensation.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you?
Though not as tightly as you do.
Okay.
For us, it's like looking at several film strips at once and being able to go between them.
So it's a multi-experience.
It is a multi-dimensional experience, which is why we often refer not to a universe, but to a multiverse.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. It is full of awe, if you say.
Okay. I had another quick question.
Yes.
Where do we remember? Trying to understand the differences in higher mind and physical mind in the sense that
where do you remember?
From the standpoint that 25,000 years ago that we had chose to forget that we are unconditionally loved
yes.
and so forth.
Yes.
And that it seems like that since the higher mind understands our path ahead, that it would also understand that we were unconditionally loved.
Yes.
And so it knows all that. I was just
yes.
trying to, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Well, thank you.
To
go further, you remember from the present. Because that's all you're doing is literally remembering yourself, pulling yourself together to be in the present, where access to all information exists all at once. So memory is not a thing in that sense that happens in the brain per se, except that you can allow the brain to configure itself electrochemically, neurologically, to be the kind of flexible receiver that will allow you to know what you need to know when you need to know it. In that context, in our civilization, we have absolutely no memory whatsoever. We remember nothing in the way that you mean it on earth. But we know what we need to know when we need to know it. Therefore, it works just as well as having what you would call a perfect memory. So the idea is to simply live in the moment, live in the now, live in the present, where all information exists, and you will tap into whatever information you need at that moment. You won't get it a second sooner than you need it, but you won't get it a second later than you need it either. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help? Thank you.